is Valley News Live at 4.
We have breaking news for you this afternoon. A former Minnesota police officer charged with manslaughter for mistakenly using her gun instead of her taser to subdue a suspect has been found guilty in the death of Dante Wright. Dina Demetrius has the latest.
Find the defendant guilty.
Kim Potter glanced down briefly, her attorney's hand on her shoulder, as the jury delivered its verdict. The former police officer found guilty of both first and second-degree manslaughter in the fatal shooting of a young black driver in April.
Members of the jury, is this your true and correct verdict? So say you one, and so say you all.
Yes.
During closing arguments, the prosecutor called Potter reckless and culpable.
Safe handling of a firearm does not include firing it into a car with 4 people directly in harm's way.
Potter's defense insisted she made a deadly mistake, pulling her Glock pistol when she thought she was grabbing a taser, and then firing a single bullet into Dante Wright's chest.
How can you recklessly, consciously handle a gun if you don't know you have it?
I'm sorry it happened.
Potter sobbed on the stand as she testified in her own defense.
I remember yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
Potter had been a highly regarded 26-year veteran of the Brooklyn Center Police Force before the April shooting. The judge ordered her held without bail until sentencing in February. Dina Demetrius, CBS News.
Katie Bryant Wright's mother said she felt every single emotion that you could imagine after hearing that guilty verdict. Some big changes in the weather department are coming, and it may impact what that means for your holiday travel. Joining us now with the first look is Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
Thanks so much, Stacy, and a good afternoon, everyone. As we head through the close of our Thursday and into the big holiday weekend, we still have some lingering and pesky fog out there. We have some changes to talk about to the forecast. First and foremost, that fog is reducing visibility to nearly zero. It's reported to be zero in Crookston right now, and as you look up towards Langdon and Candu, you see the green pea soup up there. Visibility of around a quarter of a mile is it. So keep that in mind if you're traveling right now. The national picture showing unsettled weather making its way into California as this big dip in the jet stream that's off the Pacific coast. It's going to deliver us a series of winter weather systems that's going to work through Christmas Eve tomorrow. Here's what you can plan on. Before daybreak, some of us will get a mixed bag of precipitation. It'll be fairly light. And then Christmas Day into Sunday, we are expecting 2 systems, one on Christmas Day to the south, another one Sunday into Monday. Both could impact travelers on your way back after the holidays. I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect there, and we'll look at the overnight stuff we're getting tonight, that mixed bag of goodness, here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. Authorities are continuing to search for 2 children who reportedly lived in a home now destroyed by fire near Bemidji. Authorities say the fire started this morning around 6, and when crews arrived, the second floor was fully engulfed in flames. The house is along Pony Lake Road, around 13 miles northwest of Bemidji. Few other details are being released so far. A man suspected in a string of armed robberies in Fargo has signed a plea agreement with federal prosecutors. Hunter Havisto has acknowledged robbing Tropical Smoothie, Walmart, Casey's, an M&H gas station, and Mr. Money over the course of 5 days in June. Court documents say he stole more than $4,600 and was armed with a black BB gun or a knife. Documents also say prosecutors have agreed to recommend a reduced sentence because Havisto demonstrated a genuine acceptance of responsibility. The parents of the teenager charged with killing 4 students at a Michigan high school have requested that they be granted a lower bond. James and Jennifer Crumbly are charged with involuntary manslaughter and have been jailed on $500,000 bonds since their arrest on December 4th. They're accused of making a gun accessible to their son and failing to pull him out of school when summoned about his writings before the shooting on November 30th. The couple's attorneys said they didn't anticipate he would commit violence and are devastated, like others in the community. The attorney asked that their bond be lowered to $100,000, adding the couple would wear an electronic monitor if released from jail. A judge is not expected to consider that new bond request until January 7th. The FDA has issued an emergency use authorization for a second antiviral pill to treat COVID, but many Americans are facing the more immediate concern of where to get tested as cases surge just before the holidays. CBS News correspondent Michael
Merck released video of its manufacturing process to create a COVID-19 treatment pill that high-risk adults can take at home when they have no other options. The federal government has purchased 3 million doses, which should be shipped out by the end of January. The FDA authorized use of the drug a day after giving the same authorization for Pfizer's antiviral pill Paxlovid, which has been found to significantly reduce the risk of hospitalization for those at risk of serious illness.
All tools are on the table, including the use of the Defense Production Act to get Pfizer the things they need to produce this antiviral as quickly as possible.
But the most pressing concern right now for the White House is making more tests available. This was the long line of cars waiting at a test site in Lynn, Massachusetts Thursday morning. It was the same situation in Fort Myers, Florida. The Biden administration says it's doing all it can to improve the situation.
We're not where we need to be on testing. No one is saying we are. That's why we have tried to take additional rapid steps and be as bold and ambitious as we can with the available supply that is on the market.
Today, New York City announced it's scaling back New Year's Eve in Times Square, reducing the crowds from 58,000 to 15,000. And everyone will be required to show proof of vaccination and remain masked. Visitors also won't be allowed entry until 3 p.m., much later than previous years. Those who can't medically get vaccinated will be allowed to show a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of New Year's Eve. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
China today redoubled efforts to control new virus outbreaks with the lockdown of the 13 million residents in one city. More Americans are traveling for the holidays this year compared to last year. And if you're among the millions traveling to your destination, experts say now is the time to secure your house. According to AAA, more than 100 million people will hit the road this holiday season. And security experts say an empty home may be an invitation for burglars. Here are some tips to make sure your home is safe and secure while you're away. They say keep the outside tidy. Don't let your mail, newspaper delivery pile up. And if it snows while you're away, arrange for someone to shovel your driveway. They also suggest asking a neighbor to park in your driveway to make it look like someone's home.
The number one way that they're breaking into houses these days is that if the car is in the driveway and it has a garage door opener in it, all they have to do is break a window and they can just access that garage opener.
Another idea is to put up a sign that says, "Smile, you're on camera." Experts say even if you don't actually have a camera, the sign is a huge deterrent for would-be burglars. Last month, an 11-month-old girl from Bismarck named Presley passed away from complications from a rare genetic disorder. Through her grief, Presley's mother, Emily, opened up about her story in hopes of spreading love and support to others dealing with similar experiences. She also organized a toy drive in Presley's memory.
Because we know how difficult it is to spend a holiday in the hospital and how exhausting it is for not only the parents but the kids as well.
This week, toys and extra equipment like medical supplies and car seats have been brought to hospitals in Fargo, Grand Forks, and Bismarck. The Biden administration gave an early Christmas present to millions of Americans, another pause on student loan repayments for an additional 90 days. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
The White House says the extended pause on federal student loan repayments and interest impacts an estimated 41 million borrowers.
We know some student loan borrowers are still coping with the pandemic and need some time before resuming payments.
Was this expected?
It was welcome. It was really clear that student loan borrowers were not ready to pay their student loan bills if they came due next month.
Mike Pierce of the Student Borrower Protection Center says the student debt crisis existed before the pandemic and is now coupled with economic uncertainty.
Inflation has caused food prices to go up, rent to go up, gas to go up, car payments to go up. And the thought of taking away that financial flexibility, that little measure of security, was too much for people to bear.
The extension announced Wednesday runs through May 1st. The pause started as part of COVID relief under the previous administration. Advocates are pressing to make it permanent. Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP, tweeted, "If you can afford to pause student loan repayments over and over again, you can afford to cancel it." The Student Borrower Protection Center says student debt has impacted communities of color at far higher rates and spans all ages. Mike Pierce says people need to know their options.
Every single person with a student loan that's been paused has a right under federal law to tie their payment to their income. If you're recently unemployed, or if your spouse has lost their job, or if you've had a big drop in wages because of the pandemic, you might have a right to make a payment that is as low as $0 per month.
The Department of Education says it's ready to work with people to prepare for a transition back into repayment. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
According to the Education Data Initiative, there were almost 85,000 student borrowers in North Dakota, with the average borrower owing more than $29,000. The pause only applies to federal student loans, which means private loans or loans granted through the Bank of North Dakota still need to be paid. You'll soon have to pay more to get a passport. We'll tell you why later on Valley News Live at 4.
Well, we have clouds and fog limiting visibility up north, but take a gander at this. It hit the 50s today in Sisseton, just to the south. 40s were felt today in Stutzman County, and it's banana growing weather in Hettinger. Big time changes for travelers this holiday. We have several first alert weather days to talk about. We'll do that. Join me. Weather's next.